Hi all, in this video we are going to learn gauge chart or speedometer in Excel. A gauge chart, also known as a speedometer or a dial chart, is a visual representation used to display data in a way that resembles a traditional gauge or speedometer. Speedometer or gauge chart. This chart is commonly used to measure and communicate a single value within a specified range, providing a clear and intuitive understanding of data at a glance. Let's go to your Excel file to understand this better. Here I have three sections of informations. One is for customer satisfaction rating and the percentage of the rating, and these are the needle values. All these numbers are totaling up to 200 in all these three sections. And the column name for these values are all the same, and it has to be the same for us to do the gauge chart. And all these are totaling up to 200. I'll tell you the needle values later. In this section, if you notice that I have mentioned something called as unused for 100. These four values are adding up to 100, and this one as a whole 100 units. And here it's the same. I have 100 values segregated into tens and one whole 100 value. This is how the data has to be scattered for these two tables. Like the way we see 100 here and here, we don't see that 100 here. The reason is I'm adding these two and subtracting that with 200, and whatever the amount which is remaining comes here. Here I can put any value, and this is the size of the needle. I can make it big or small depending upon these numbers. And this is the rating. Suppose one of the rating is 65. The needle will show the rating as 65. And when you deduct these two values, what is the remaining value out of 200? That is 133. That is the number here. Let's start with our charts now. I'm going to start with this first section. I'm not going to include 200 in any of my chart data. I mentioned 200 here just to show that the total value is 200 in all the three tables, but this value will not be included in the chart data. I've just selected the data ranging from rating to 100. Go to insert, and here you see donut chart. Select the donut chart. You can give the chart title as a customer survey. If you divide this donut chart into two sections, this whole complete section is as one unit, and this half has multiple sections here. Right click on this. We can change the donut hole size. Let me keep it as 66. And I don't need the legends. I'm going to remove the legends here. Chart element and uncheck the legend. If you want to keep the chart title, you may keep it, or you can remove the chart title. In my case, I would prefer to have the chart title here. Okay, now we have one donut chart. Let me go to the next table. Here we see the percentage and the rating of it. I have two numerical values here in this table. If I select both the numerical values and try to apply another donut chart, instead of one donut chart, I get two donut charts outside this existing donut chart. I'll show you how this works. Copy and Control V to paste it. You see almost three donut charts now. One which was already existing, and now we have two numerical values. So now we got two donut charts. I don't want two donut charts for this one particular field. So let me go to Control Z. Instead of making this as a numeric value, I'll just put a single apostrophe there. I'll do the same thing for all these values, so that now this changes from numeric value to a text value. I have now added this one apostrophe in front of all these numbers, and now these numbers are no more numeric values, and we get a small icon here. Click on the drop down and click on ignore error. We still see it as percentage value, but we have a text element here, so this is no more numeric value. Now let's select these two columns excluding the total. Control C and click anywhere on the chart. Control V we just have one donut chart on top of the previous donut chart. The outer donut chart has these small sections in the first half, and there is no such sections in the other half because the value is 100 in the end. Where we see here, we have one value is 100. This is one of the unit in the donut chart, and this covers the half of the donut chart, and the remaining 100 we have some sections in it. In this outer chart, we see that each value has 10 units here. Now let me change the color of this donut. Go to chart design, go to change color, and let me go select this color, which is light to dark shade, which is palette 9. I selected for the outer donut, but it selects for the inner one also. Now let's rotate this donut where this half section will be in the top and this 100 will be in the bottom. To do that, right click on any of the donut, go to format data point, and here the angle of the first slice. This is the first slice here in this donut. So angle of the first slice, let's change this to 270. Let me reduce the whole size. Okay, this is much better now. Now you see that all these sections which were towards our right has now come to the top, and these whole one slice section of 100 has come down. Now I have selected the bottom half of the outer donut. Go to fill and click on no fill and no border line. Let's do the same for the inner donut as well. Let me select only the bottom section, no fill and no line. Here the outer donut shade is just getting bright, and I don't need this bright changes. Let me lighten this color. Let me select this section and reduce the shade to one color light. I have to repeat the same thing to all these slices. Now you see that these shades are almost light now. Now we have our outer donut chart ready. Let's give a different color to the inner donut chart. Here, when we select the range, we see that this table is highlighted, and the first value is customer satisfaction, which is poor. Bad customer satisfaction survey. Let me give the color as red. And the next one is fair here. For that, let me give orange color. This one is good. So for that, let me give light green. And this is excellent. So let it be a good dark green color. Now we have our speedometers for customer survey. And this outer donut gives us a little better understanding about these sections, as this is divided into 10 units each. I've changed the donut size. Here let me give the labels to the outer donut labels. Here when I select the data labels, I get the rating labels here, but I need the percentages to be shown. For that, go to more options, and instead of values, click on category name. We see all these percentages showing up now. Let me put this outside. 100% in the outer section, 90 in between these two lines, 80 again in these two lines in between. Let me do it for all these values. Now I have all these values nearing to these lines. I have 0 here. Let me drag and put it here near the line. I see these lines coming out here for all these range. Let me click on one of it and delete this. Now we have all these percentages showing as the outer section, this being the customer satisfaction bar, and now we have to put the needle, and this is the needle value. And here again we see that the column heading is rating. Let me select this whole range, or you can just select this range alone. Control C, Control V. Now we see that the new donut chart has now been created on top of these two donut charts. But we don't want the third chart to be a donut chart. We want this to be a pie chart. To change the appearance, right click on it. Go to change series chart type. And here by default, the chart type is combo, as we have 3 donut charts here. So this is a combo chart. And we see that all these 3 are donut type chart. Let me select this as a pie chart. and make this as a secondary axis. Click OK. And again we have to rotate this to 270 degree. Let's do that first. Format data series and rotate this to 270. Now we have this rotation completed. Let me select the first biggest section of the slice and go to fill color, no color and no line. Let me go to the second slice, which is a very tiny one. If you're not able to select this, you can change the number here to 5 for now, or let me keep it as 3. Now we can select it nicely. Only this has to be selected, and let me change the color to black. And let me remove the line here, remove the border line. Now we have the whole color coming up to here. And for the last slice, again no fill, no line. And let me just reduce the size of it. Let me make it as 1 or 2. Okay, now we have this needle and the size of the needle is 2. And now as this is showing as 60% and 70%, we are now able to understand that this value or the rating that we have selected is somewhere at 65. But for us to clearly understand this, we need to put a box here to show what is that value shown up here, because this needle is not exactly showing as 65 here. Let me make it as 1. Now we have our needle showing up exactly in between 60 and 70. So now this shows that this value is 65. The needle is pointing at 65. But for us to have a precise understanding about the value the needle is pointing at, we can add a small field here to show the value. But before that, let me select this whole chart and click on no fill and no line, so that if I move the chart here, I can just have it close, and as the chart has no fill, it's transparent now. I can place it very close to these tables now. Now let me add a text box to show the value. Go to insert and select the text box, and let me keep the text box a little close to the needle. Here I want this value to reflect as what the needle rating is showing. For that, go to this formula bar is equal to, and lock this range by pressing F4 key. Let's make it as center and make it bold, and if you want you can increase the font size. Now when you change the values to 80, the needle also moves and it is now pointing at 80. For pour rating, which is 35, we see that the value here is also changing and the needle is also moving. Similarly, we can make it to 60 and we see the needle has moved and also the data has changed here. This is how we can create the customer survey bar. The reason why we have two donut chart is, one is to specify the color, if it is poor or excellent, or what is the category it falls in, and the outer donut will tell us the percentage of what the needle is showing at. I can make it big. Now we change the needle value here to 85. We see that our needle value is pointing at 85. This way we use speedometer to check the performance, and this is used to check the performance metrics of any product or service. Through this needle we can clearly understand that if the service or the survey is positive or negative, if it is excellent, good, fair or bad, depending upon the needle movements and depending upon the total rating. Let's now check the highlights of this video. The chart typically consists of a circular or a semicircular dial with a needle or a pointer indicating the value being measured. The needle's position on the dial corresponds to the value being measured allowing for easy interpretation of the data. Gauge charts are often used to represent metrics such as progress, completion rates, performance, or any other single value that can be compared against the target or benchmark.